The purpose of this build is to create large amounts of bass while also saving trunk space. This is something very difficult to do in the car audio community in the past. But nowadays, they have these little small subwoofers that allow us to do so. In this build, we're going to be using the CT Sounds MESO 6.5-inch subwoofers. Along with this being a low profile build, I also wanted this to have stealth characteristics. I pretty much wanted the finished product to blend in well with the stock upholstery. And that's why I chose to go with a gray charcoal finish. The goal of this build is to achieve a 140 dB SPL score using 5 6.5-inch woofers. Now I know for some they're going to say that this is preposterous. Maybe you can do it, maybe you cannot do it. Not saying that this is unheard of, but for me, this will be a first. If you would like a more introductory overview of the subwoofers used in this video, please click the links to my previous video, because this video right here is going to be more focused on the enclosure that they are housed in. So the purpose of this video is to satisfy many inquiries commented to me about my last build. In a recent poll, I asked what type of videos you guys would like for me to produce, and an overwhelming majority of you said subwoofer box builds. So in this video, I will show you all the steps necessary to achieve a custom audio enclosure such as this build. First, we're going to discuss the design phase, because over the years I've learned that it is best to design my products in a digital space first before spending your hard-earned money on building materials. So instead of countless hours crunching numbers with pen and paper, I use a freeware to do the calculations for me. WinISD Pro is a free software program for designing enclosures for any type of loudspeaker, including subwoofers. You simply input the subwoofer's parameters, and the program will automatically calculate many values for you. Based upon your subwoofer's attributes, WinISD will suggest either a sealed or ported enclosure. You also have the option of bandpass enclosures as well. In our case, we'll be designing a ported enclosure using 5 CT Sounds MESO 6.5-inch subwoofers. Once we have our measurements for box volume, port area, and port length, we can then start the modeling phase of our enclosure using a program called Sketchup. But please note that this is just one quick overview, and if you want more details on how to use WinISD Pro, leave a comment in the sections below and let me know if this is something that you'll be interested in. And that brings us to the modeling phase of our build. Sketchup is another free software you can use to render 3D models of your subwoofer enclosure. What you guys are looking at right now is a 3D model of the trunk of my Chevy Impala. The 2018 Chevy Impalas actually have a total cargo volume, which is the trunk space, of around 19 cubic foot. To be exact, it's 18.8 cubic foot. And in this 3D rendering of it, the available trunk space is represented by the color blue. And as you guys can see from the entity info here, I have approximately 18 cubic foot to work with. Moving on, this is the available space that I have for the enclosure that I plan to build. As you guys can see, it's rectangularly shaped and it's very low profile. The blue space represents the total cubic foot that I have to work with. In this case, it's roughly 4 3/4 cubic foot. Now, if you couple that with the available space that I have for or within the Impala, this should fit perfectly fine. Right now, what you see in this rendering is the available space that I have within that 4 and 3 cubic foot area for my subwoofers. If you look at the entity info, this is approximately 1.5 cubic foot, and after displacement, this would gel well with the specification that was suggested by WinISD Pro. Once I plotted out the available space for this enclosure, I went ahead and also took the port length suggestions by WinISD Pro, and I mapped out a port length for this enclosure. As you guys can see, the vent is actually roughly 1/2 of the available space of this enclosure. This is a very large port. In the end, once carpeted, this is kind of what you would be faced with. It's a very simple looking box, which I wanted it to be in order for it to integrate properly with the vehicle. And this is another 3D rendering of that enclosure inside of the trunk space. This is very important, guys. A tool like this saves you a lot of hassle, a lot of time and money, because it gives you an opportunity to see exactly what your end result would be without ever having to spend a dime or cut any piece of material. And if done properly, this is what it's supposed to look like. Please be mindful that this is just a quick overview of this tool. And if you guys would like to know a lot more about it, just leave a comment in the sections below. If I get enough inquiries on this, I will dedicate an entire video to SketchUp alone. Now this is time for the demo. First step is going to be our SPL test. As previously stated, the goal of this build is to achieve an SPL score of 140 decibels at a 35 Hz tuning frequency. If my calculations are correct, I should be able to meet this goal with approximately 5,000 watts of power. So let's grab all the necessary tools and see if this enclosure lives up to my expectations. All right, guys, we're back here in the Impala. And as you guys can see, I do have my low profile box in here with the CT sounds. These are the MESO 6.5s. We're gonna be metering it today on the SMD AMM1. This is real-time power. I got my trusty little app, the little mini base meter from SPL Lab. It's in the driver kit because my port is loaded on the passenger side, so it should reflect here. So I'm gonna give it another little hit. Let me hit it again, 35 Hertz. And it barely registered. That's a 123.3. All right, that's real time. So I'm gonna keep it back there for the most part. That was just 300 watts. Turn it up a little more. That was about 15, was 1600 watts. It gave us a 134.4. I'm gonna give it some more juice. Again, about the same. Let me turn up my bass knob just a little bit. See what we can get out of that. That was about 5,000 watts, as you guys seen. And we only got we got a 137.3, and that was at 35 Hertz, okay? So let's bump that up a notch. I'm gonna put it on, I'm gonna go straight for 40. Woo, didn't mean to do that. I didn't even catch it on film either. So let me adjust the volume, and I'm gonna do it again at 40. That's about 2,000, that was 1,800 watts. 137.3 on the SPL scale. Give it another one. That was about 3,000 watts. Same thing, 137.3. All right, we're gonna give it a little bit more juice. Keeping my eye on the clipping light back there. Let's see how much juice we can give it at another 40 hertz burst. I hit the button twice by mistake. That was about 4,500 watts. And that thing goes off. You see that? I hate that, man. Let me get this thing turned back on. Yeah, I wish I can turn that feature off. It just goes off. Even if you guys seen it for yourself, even if I'm playing it, it goes off. I hate that. But anyway, let's keep this moving. I'm gonna try to move down a notch. I'm gonna go from 40 to 37. Same volume. We got a max score. It's still the same. I'm gonna go to 38. That was about 4,700 watts. And my score, it remains the same. So I don't even remember. Let me see what frequency did I even get this at? So you can hit mode. 35 hertz. 35 hertz was our loudest score. It makes me want to go down. So I'm gonna reset this. Okay, I reset that. I'm gonna go down in frequency. So this time I'm gonna go to 30 hertz. That was a 130, very low volume. I got a 130.9. All right, let's do that again. That was very low power. 30 hertz. That was 1,000 watt test tone. It got me a 131.6. So I'm gonna crank it up and max it out. And I'm gonna see what that'll do for me. 30 hertz. 2,500 watts. 133.8. All right, I'm going in. I got the bass knob all the way to the right. Let's see what it'll do. It's a little over 3,000. Let's go back. And I went up a little bit. I got a 135. A 135 at 30 hertz. And guys, I swear this thing is not, it's not even getting a lot of power, to be honest with you. I'm gonna go up 31 hertz. That was 4,000 watts. I still got a 135 on the SPL. 32 hertz. That was 4,800 watts. I see I did clip a little bit, but that's expected when you burping. It'll clip a little bit. And I went up a 136.1 on the SPL scale. So I'm curious now, what would a 33 hertz coming right up? That was about 5,000 watts. 138.6. So 138.6 right then. I'm scared to do it again. I'm gonna do it. 5,000 watts. Still got a 138.6 at 33 hertz. Yep. Box is tuned pretty good. The environment likes it. CT Sound said that these guys are conservatively rated. I believe it. Over here, I only got a 137.4. Let's do it again, 33 hertz. There it is, 138.3. The other one was a little louder. So I'm gonna keep it over here for now. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go back to 35 hertz. I think it like 35 better, so let's see. Woo! Same thing. It's 138.3, same thing. So it didn't get no louder. So 33 is my mark. At 5,000 watts, that's kind of where I wanted to be with it. I'm happy with it. I'm gonna be honest with you though, I wanted a 140 out of it. and I probably still can get that. All right, so we got, okay, so we're gonna be running this again. I actually have a theory that I think I did something wrong yesterday. All right, guys, so I'm back here in the Impala, and what I'm gonna do is make some adjustments to my amplifier, and I'm just gonna play a flat 30 hertz test tone. Turn it down just a little, and I wanna do something. I wanna see if I make an adjustment to the amplifier. Right now I had a filter turned on to filter out like low frequencies, like 20 hertz or whatever. I'm gonna turn that off. I'm gonna try to see if I can do this without messing up something here. Right now it's 93 watts. And let me adjust that. It only went up a few watts, so I don't think it was that big of a deal. It went up 3 watts. It was 97 now. These mosquitoes, man. 30 hertz. Yeah, I would say it's about the same. Without touching the gains, I wouldn't feel comfortable with messing with that. So I'm gonna put it on another 33. That was our peak last time, and it still is. 34. Woo, shit. Look at that. 139.2. Damn, I hate this thing. Oh God, I hate this damn device, man. Or does it hate me? Which is it? Oh my God, I hate this thing, man. And you know what? I'm not even gonna edit that out. I want you guys to see how frustrating that is. So let's do this one more time. 34 hertz. Woo, I got a 139. I think it did something. I think me adjusting it definitely did something. So I'm gonna go for 35 hertz this time. That's a 139. I don't want to blow nothing up. I'm gonna go for I'm gonna go for 35 hertz. Woo! That's a lot, man. 139.3. I'm telling y'all, I'm gonna let them break in a little bit more. And then I'm gonna get that 140. I'm gonna get it, but for right now, I'm happy. I'm happy with that. I'm gonna leave it alone. But I'm gonna get that 140 one day. One day soon. I'm gonna get the 140. Right now, these little guys here are champs. They are freaking champs, man. I'm loving it. The next phase of this video is gonna be the daily music test. To demonstrate the responsiveness of this enclosure, I would play 4 different songs with 4 varying tempos and bass melodies. This way, you'll be able to judge the sound signature of this enclosure and decide if this is something that you would like to build for your own vehicle. Now it's time for the pros and cons of this video. Basically, did this build meet my expectations? And if so, what are the pros and cons of it? Well, first, let's start off with the cons. This is the negative stuff that I found out or learned during the build. Okay, for one, amplifier selection. Unfortunately, the Triumph's MD8000.1 is not the amplifier for this build. This amplifier itself is functioning exactly as designed, but the high frequencies allowed by the 90 Hz high pass filter is not allowing me to filter out unwanted frequencies above 60 Hz. This enclosure is tuned pretty low, so to get bass kicks at 80, 90 Hz is really hurting the subwoofer sometimes. And I find myself having to turn down and adjust my volume and not be able to play it as loudly as I would want to. These subwoofers are very sensitive and they produce these higher frequency sounds a lot better than the 12 and 15 inch subwoofers that I'm used to. So the MD8000.1 is definitely going to be replaced in the future. Now, that brings me to wiring configuration. This was another issue that I had. The issue is heat building up in the subwoofers. Now, sure, if you send this much power, there is bound to be some heat, but my situation is that only the first and last subwoofers in the chain are experiencing excessive heat. The three in the middle doesn't seem to be getting hot at all. I think that my wiring configuration may be the blame here. Like, maybe the electrons are inrushing the first subwoofer and then surging to the end of the line before distributing evenly amongst the three in the center. So just let me know in the comment sections below, what do you guys think about this? Okay, so those were the cons, the negatives, the hard lesson learned. So what are some of the pros, some of the things that I like about this build? Well, first and foremost, it's a space saver. As previously stated, the Chevy Impala has a cargo volume of 18.8 cubic foot. This build totaled 4 3/4 cubic foot. This means that I got to keep 75% of my available trunk space. That in itself is a win. The second pro I want to mention is the responsiveness of the enclosure itself. Because of their high FS rating of nearly 60 Hz, the MESO 65s doesn't struggle at all to produce upper bass notes. And with a tuning frequency of 35 Hz, the build has a usable bandwidth of around 60 to 28 Hz. This is a bandwidth sometimes only achieved with bandpass enclosures. Very, very great. All right, let's move on to SPL. I was only 0.7 decibels away from achieving my goal of 140 decibels. In my opinion, is a win-win. These subwoofers have less than 20 hours of play and they are already performing amazingly. I'm already brainstorming other ways to incorporate these little guys in another build. Thanks for visiting the channel to help you simplify car audio. It's the Budget Basshead and I'm out.